It's that time of the day where I've got to do this. You got to block that glare. I didn't realize that glare was right fucking there, man. I'm going to have to do this through this whole video. I'm not gonna. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Anyways, I digress. So here's what I want to come up with: a refreshing cocktail, per se. And I didn't want to do a highball, and y'all know I don't like ice, so I wanted to work with some of the ingredients I have. And I have this incredible Supernova Navy Strength gin from Lipton Spirits that I picked up back in, I think it was November of last year when I visited them. It's 114.2 or 57.1%. Stuff is just crazy good. So here's what I did. And again, I'm that 3 ingredient guy, right? I've decided just to lean into what I do, right? I don't understand the need to drop 100 ingredients and shit just for the sake of dropping 100 ingredients. I feel like a lot of folks make things complicated just for the sake of making things complicated when you can get to the same flavor in 3 or 4 less steps, which is why I'm content to stay in my wheelhouse. Because I know there's a lot of bartenders out there that can make much more complicated drinks than I can, but I know there's no bartender out there, getting cocky at my old age, that can make a tastier drink than I can. I'm getting cocky in my old age, getting that swagger. To my wife, it's the hair. When I was a kid, or early teenager through I guess I even had longer hair when I met my wife. Had that swagger, kind of went away there. But as the hair's growing long, it's coming back to me. So here's what I did with this: 2 ounces of that, and another ingredient that you don't necessarily think as spring, but I thought balanced with this gin it would be, is some Grand Marnier. So I did 2 ounces of that, 1 ounce of the Grand Marnier, a mandarin garnish, a candied mandarin garnish, even though you can't see it because the drink clouded up on me. and a few dashes of Peychaud's bitters, slancha. I did have a little bit of swagger when I was younger and had long hair. I did. And it kind of went away for a while. We had some things happen to us as adults. Hey, how you doing? Well, when my wife and I lost our son to cancer, that took a lot out of both of us. It was really hard to come back from that. And I think I lost, I wouldn't say I lost my swagger, but I lost a lot of who I was, I kind of lost myself for a while, went off the grid for a bit. My wife had to be the responsible one. She had I was running a small business at the time, but I had to shut it down when Seamus got real sick. I would take occasional jobs here and there, but I couldn't run it full time anymore because she had that full time job. So I kind of shut that down. When we lost him, she just went right back to what she was doing, which allowed me the ability to break down right away. And then later, a couple years later, when it became clear that that job was taking its toll on her, but I'd already found another path from there, so she was able to break down. So I guess it was just good that we were able to break down at several times, or just that she was strong enough to stay to not break down right away like I did. But again, the point I was trying to make earlier, I kind of lost it there for a second there, but point I was trying to make, sometimes you kind of lose who you are for a minute, and you got to try to find it. The hair has nothing to do with it. It was just kind of my way of broaching the topic, but there is a tad bit of truth to it. is that I hadn't been able to grow the hair long due to what I was doing for the longest time. Um, and now I'm in a position where I can grow it long, even though it's driving me batshit crazy. I'm seeing how long I can grow it before I just decide to shave it off. But I will admit that I will admit that as it gets longer, I am getting some of that old swagger back, right? That attitude, that little bit of that attitude. And I've been working out with a personal trainer, and I'm far from being fit. Don't get me wrong, but beginning as I'm getting healthier, as the hair gets longer, that attitude is getting back where it needs to be. And then back to where I am professionally is, yeah, I'm getting very cocky as a bartender because at first, I mean, I was bringing in certain cocktails, right? As before we had an official menu or a cocktail program, I was the one that brought some things into the mix, and they were rather simple with using the ingredients that we had because we had there were we had limited ingredients, right? But as we kind of went into getting close to having a full bar, I feel like I got a real handle on it. Now, I'm going to be clear. I'm not going to ever work at a trendy establishment for trendy folks because I'm not that bartender. But if there's ever that guy, I wish we had that place in town like we had way back when. The Shady Inn had this piano bar. So you had the older folks come in, you had the classic cocktails. And that's me, right? I'm that three ingredient classic cocktail guy. And I can do various riffs and spins on all of them. But I don't want to be that 10 ingredient cocktail guy. I'm going to let the younger folks do that because, in all honesty, it just doesn't make sense to me. And again, as somebody that likes to cook, I know the best dishes are the ones that use fewer ingredients, right? You want to use just this. You don't need to throw in things for the sake of throwing in things. That's something younger folks tend to do as you're learning a craft, as you're learning something. Hey guys, how you doing? I don't mean to ignore you there. I was kind of on a roll. I'm gonna throw some comments up there as you posted. Somebody said hi, Uncle. I'll post that. uh, I feel bad that you lost your dad 5 weeks ago. Yeah, I really do. Um, I lost my dad just a few months before our son was born back in '98, and we lost our mom a couple years ago. So both my parents are now gone, which doesn't seem right. But then I have to realize that I'm 60. Sometimes I forget how old. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's part of it too. Maybe I'm having like a not a midlife crisis because I'm past that. Maybe a three-quarter life crisis. Having that three-quarter life crisis because I'm doing some things. I started working with a personal trainer. I started working with a vocal coach. I became a bartender at 59. I mean, yeah, I'm at that three-quarter life crisis. I don't know if it's a crisis though. So crisis means it's a call for help. I'm at that three-quarter life reckoning. I realized it took me till I was 60 to realize who I am. We're told at a young age, or we're asked at a young age, who we want to be when we grow up. We always feel like we have to have an answer. And my four siblings, I don't know if they had that answer ready, but it seemed like they always knew more or less what they wanted to do. And I would always make up something because I never had a fucking clue. I mean, at one time I thought about being a musician, or I want to be, and I played some. I was never great. Don't get me wrong. I was average at very best. Um, but if I'm being honest, it's not really something I ever wanted to do for a living. It's just something I did at the time, and giving that answer kept people off my back, right? But I never knew what I wanted. Some folks have this plan. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. My oldest sister at 18 got a job in the banking industry, and she knew that's where she was going to be. And she rose through the ranks. She was amazing. My oldest brother went to the Navy, and when he got out, he joined the post office, and that was his thing. He knew. Uh, my other sister was older as well, but not my oldest sister. I don't think it came to her that quick, but eventually it did, and she went to school to figure out who she was. Again, my younger brother again didn't come to him that quick, but he's been at the same job for over 20 years now, and I never had that. Right, I was good at what I did. I kind of luckily fell into retail and worked my way up through management, and I was good at it, so it became my identity for a moment, but it was never who it wasn't that, I love this. Yeah, I ran my own business for a little bit, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my calling per se. Uh, for a couple years, I worked for sales for a craft brewery in Arkansas, and I loved doing that. And but when I got this job, it was something different, right? I'd never worked behind bar before, so honestly wasn't sure I could do it, even though I kind of lived behind the bar as a kid. But that's kind of another story. Uh, but then when they started asking me to do cocktails, then it just became something else, right? I love pouring craft beer, I really do. Don't get me wrong, but making cocktails, when I come up with cocktail recipes, oh man, that makes me happy. I love making. I even like making other people's cocktails. Right, even when somebody wants me to make a classic or a cocktail devised by my coworker, I love doing that as well. I love making my own. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, just the idea, the flair, again, the swagger. It's not all the hair, but I think it's all coming together with the hair and the job. And I don't know if I'd go far as to say at this point it was my calling. But at this point in my life, I got to be honest, I've never loved anything more than the place I work at now. The people that own it are the best people I've worked for in my life. And I'm 60 years old, and I've worked for a lot of folks, and that's saying something. But it's not only that; it's just the people I encounter. Right, all my customers, and a lot of them have just became friends because a lot of them are folks that I've you know no, not necessarily friends. I don't even know if I want to use the word acquaintance, but there are people that I've come across through various stages of my life, and now somewhere, oh, you. But now I just feel like I'm hanging out with the best people that I've ever hung out with. So I feel like I'm at the best place I've ever been in my life, but it took me to the age of 60 to get here. Jason says, I'm going to post your comment, my friend, but Modus Live for the first time. Yeah, this is awful. Isn't it? But I will say, I will admit, there are some people out there that like yard work. I'm not one of them, but there are people out there that do. I just don't happen to be one of them. I've never enjoyed it. A lot of that is probably because I have severe allergies, but I've never liked it at all, man. Uh, but anyway, yeah, I think society puts pressure on you to define. Oh shit! Something just dropped in my drink. The hazards of drinking outside. I don't know what the fuck that was. Holy shit! A biscuit. That was this hard thing that just dropped right from the fucking tree. Son of a bitch! That was good gin. Not gonna let that get me down. Did you? I hope somebody saw that drop. Just holy motherfucker! I heard that plop. Son of a bitch! I'm gonna get angry at whatever bird that is. Somebody's dead. No, just kidding. No hard shit happens, man. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, but it's 90 plus here in the Ozarks. So I'm gonna have one more something with you, and then I'm gonna call it a afternoon. I'm gonna pour a cheap beer. It's gonna finish that cocktail, but obviously it wasn't meant to be, man. I don't know if y'all saw it, but it just plop. I don't know if that was a bird turd or just something dropping from the tree. I'm really not sure what that was, but I wasn't gonna drink it. Not gonna let it ruin my day either. Here's what I got here, folks. I got some really cheap bourbon that I picked up in November of last year. This is a Kentucky bourbon straight whiskey distilled by Bourbon Square out of Louisville, Kentucky. It's 90 proof. It ain't great, but it ain't bad. So I'm gonna pour a little bit there. And I'm gonna give you a toast that my dad always did. In fact, it's the only toast I ever heard him do. My dad would say, "Here's to the flag, the grand old flag, the flag that set us free. A whiskey glass and a woman's ass made a horse's ass of me." And I want to add one more thing, having said that. My dad who fought in World War II would be appalled at what is going on today. He'd be appalled at people voting for somebody preaching fascism when he fought against it. And everybody that supports who the jackass that's in control right now, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist. Had to throw that in. Did you, Tom? I did, boy. I had to just put that one thing out there just to piss off the ignorant, weak-minded. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist. Prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and I'm also Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom. All around good guys. Launch us. Slosh, you guys. Thanks for tuning in.